Welcome back to the Better Living Interest, the home of thoughtful conversations that help you live better and do better. I'm your host, Paul Perez, and today we have an honor to have a special guest, Mr. Carl Belizaire. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Paul, I appreciate you bringing me on board. It's an absolute pleasure always to connect with you and the opportunity to speak to the community and drop some value. So thank you so much.
Listen, man, you're a ton of value and knowledge. There is no real estate development without a person like yourself. Carl is an insurance and risk management advisor at Lawley in Buffalo. He specializes in surety bonding, business insurance, and commercial risk strategies with over a decade of expertise and involvement in community focused events like the Black Wealth Expo and local SBDC programming. Carl brings both deep industry knowledge and a community first perspective. And he's also from Brooklyn. So he's a BK
There you
native
go.
out
Yeah.
here living in Buffalo, New York, doing some big things for the region and abroad. So we
That's,
appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's right.
So just wanted to get a little bit of a background from you in regards to how did you start in insurance and doing bonding, coming from Brooklyn and then traveling, getting all the way up here in Buffalo, New York.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It definitely was not by accident. Certainly not. But did I see insurance as far as like into my purview and into my future? Not really, and not initially. At least not, about 5, 6 years ago. I've always had a passion for business. I've always had a passion for helping people. I've always been in front of people, speaking with people, and just sort of try to help them. In my prior years, I was sort of an after-school counselor, helping at-risk youths, and I did that for a number of years. Then I transitioned to mathematics adjunct lecturer, helping undergraduate and graduate students to learn the fundamentals of math that they need to sort of go into their career and their core major classes, while simultaneously uh, being a real estate professional and helping people to sort of buy and rent properties. And so I've always had that, right? The urge and passion to talk with people and help them with whatever they're going through. And so about 5 years ago, while all of that was sort of happening, I was still teaching and doing real estate, and you know, the entire world flipped upside down, and COVID happened. And my wife and I were living in New York City at the time. So we were actually living in Queens, and we found out that we were expecting our first child. And it was a monumental moment for the two of us. It was a beautiful moment happening in a sort of isolated, everyone was inside. You had to pretty much self isolate, and you couldn't really go out and be interacting with people. You remember those days. So we really started thinking about what would be the best option for us in terms of now that we're about to start our family. And we thought about it, and it made sense to be closer to family and friends, just being first time parents and not going at it alone. And it was a great decision. So we moved here to Buffalo. And as much as I would have loved teaching to remain the thing that I did, I think the business side, the business sense of what I've always loved, as far as being an entrepreneur and wanting to do my own thing, that ultimately took over. And it was like, okay, what else can I get into? I looked into a variety of different things, whether it was banking, financial trading, real estate, and ultimately it became insurance because one, it runs in the family, but two, it just, I had an opportunity to sit down with a couple different mentors and veteran professionals in the industry. And based on the feedback that I've gotten, this was definitely the right move. And I'm glad that I made them because I saw a need within the community for me to take on that role. And I've never looked. So,
So you looked at it in the perspective of family, you looked at it in the perspective of a career, and you said
yeah,
this would be the best move for me. And
Yeah.
because you do math, this was
Yeah.
something that kind of aligned, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've always been a numbers guy. I have my creative side. I've always been in the arts and with teaching in terms of numbers. I'm very technical when I look at certain things. So that was definitely a factor as well. Working with my clients and analyzing their business, looking at their financial statements and things of that sort, and seeing where the pain points are and how I can help
Appreciate that. And especially in real estate development, you're going to need someone who knows numbers, right?
for sure.
Everything is number based for the most part. And then comes in the magic. So, with that, can you talk to us about your transition going into Surety specialist into broader insurance advisory at Lawley in August of 2024? How did that change your approach to helping clients manage risk?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I can't believe it's been about a year. Time moves very quickly. That transition really got me more invested. It expounded upon what I was already doing in a couple different ways. Now I'm meeting more with clients face to face, sitting down to have deeper conversations about their business and in an attempt to sort of understand where they have risk exposures, discussing past and present and future outlook of how their business is going to grow and graduate and what sort of protections that they're going to need, what's current and how those protections sort of how have they been taken care of, if there are any sort of gaps in coverages, but also just hearing it from the mouth of the business owner or the individual that I'm speaking to, what exactly that they want versus a little bit before, prior to transitioning, I was more in front of the desk. Like I was still meeting with clients, but I was in front of a desk and sort of it was more transactional versus relationship building, which is where it is now. It's more relationship building, even if it's a person that I'm sitting down with and we're not going to do business, but I'm connecting because the entire thing about it is how can I create value for that person so that they start to look at me as someone that's trustworthy and someone that they can rely upon. So it intensified my approach and got me more connected with clients to dig deep, ask meaningful questions to understand exactly what they need, what they're looking for. And my business thrives in my ability to build relationships. So I got really vested into that.
Upon your expertise and knowledge from your previous position with the numbers. And basically, I would say, as a loan officer, your underwriting criteria and hat on what the insurance companies are looking for. And then when you're
Yeah.
meeting with them, you speak into that.
Yeah, absolutely. And even right down to teaching and my past work at risk youth. What that did for me and the skills and how I was able to develop this ability to communicate with people in such a way that you really sit down with them and make it about them, make it personal, to not uh, start throwing your own biases and judgments and just taking it and looking at it from their point of view. What are the struggles that they're going through, the obstacles that they're going through? Because if they're sitting down with you, looking up to you to provide solutions, that's exactly what you have to do. So that customer focus and client service, I would say, style definitely comes from my past background.
Nice. Great for relationship building.
Oh
For
yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So you've been highly active in the community now. You've been going out to different events. I've seen you. You came and you spoke at the first Black Wealth Expo a few years ago. That was a highlight. I think that was probably the first time that real estate professionals in the Western New York community got to see a Black professional insurance bonder in the
Yeah.
community. So that was pretty cool. Can you talk to us about participating in that event, participating in the Build Buffalo, how you're engaging people in the Buffalo States, the small business DC event, and how do you see insurance and bonding intersecting with small businesses and wealth building in our community?
Yeah. Since joining the industry, it's been tremendous in terms of people that I've met and coming across them and learning about what they're doing to support themselves, their families, while making an impact in the community. And the opportunities that I've had to be in front of them and talk about what I do and how I can help. Certainly, the people that I try to help and give my attention to, oftentimes they're underrepresented, look like me, but also it can also be any sort of business owner or person that's struggling, has something in place that's not really working, or they're an up and coming business owner, an emerging contractor, or first time, first go around at owning a business and just they don't really know how to navigate the space of insurance or bonding. I like to be in front of those people. I like to have those conversations because that's really where I thrive. Certainly, if you're already established and you're looking to make a switch, I can also have those conversations. I have an entire team behind me to sit down with anyone and provide them with solutions. Both insurance and bonding are a means of providing financial protections to mitigate against risk. And so the two are in the same vein, but they differ and are used to provide financial protections in unique ways. For example, thinking of a small business, and if we're talking about wealth building, certainly being properly insured is going to be 100% necessary so that your business is protected against third party claims and for bodily injury and property damage. Now, this, of course, depends on the nature of your business. If, for example, your business is more professional in nature, then you might need what's called professional liability or errors and omission coverage. And so uh, sometimes it could also be um, now we're talking about AI and how that's the next big thing. It's explosive. That pairs perfectly with what's called cyber liability. So if your business is online and you're dealing with customers and you're storing their information, you have some type of platform that you're using and you're selling to customers where you're storing their information, certainly that's the next piece of conversation when it comes to insurance protection that you want to start to get around. If you want a nonprofit, you might need to have directors and officers insurance coverage to cover your high level personnel. That's part of the nonprofit. And ultimately, the nature of your business will dictate your exposures and which insurance protections that you'll need. Surety bonds tend to come into place and become a factor when you start to have agreements and licenses and you're taking on contracts that's requiring you to have a performance guarantee. So you need to put up a bond to meet that need. And I can go a little bit deeper into it, but the two differ in nature. Um, I like to make that distinction for when I speak to people.
No, that's perfect. And that's a great in depth answer to all of those things. And I think when people are starting out and they have a business or they're starting out a not for profit, to your point, or for us, many of my audience members are into real estate. So we talk a lot about how to start up a development company, a construction company, a mortgage company, and a real
Yep.
estate agent company. You're going to need insurance in some form or capacity. 'Cause you always got to protect yourself. Something could happen,
Yep.
whether it be by you directly or indirectly. In addition, it could also be to protect your staff because they're learning and they're going through things, and you're not going to be able to be hands on with everybody in a transaction. So you want to make sure you cover yourself. I think it's extremely important if people are not understanding what Carl is saying over here. You need to have insurance to protect yourself. You don't want to be going out in the community, working yourself, building up this elaborate company, and you're making money and you're getting financial freedom, and then you get hit with a lawsuit. So you always want to make sure
Yeah.
that you have insurance in place to really help protect you. I could testify to it. Insurance is not cheap, but at the same time, it's more expensive to not have it than to have
Yeah.
it and not
It's
use it.
oh for sure. It's a necessary evil. Let's put it that way.
Right. So you want to make sure you're in a position where you have the insurance, and God forbid you don't need to use it.
I would say, do you want to be able to sleep at night and just lay your head down and know that, okay, if something happens, there's some sort of financial means to protect me and my business. And that's what insurance is, right? That's what it does for you. Otherwise, you leave yourself open and exposed. So,
Exactly. And we don't want that. So speaking of, elaborated on the insurance part, but you started discussing the surety bonds. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And specifically, the commercial surety bonds are often misunderstood. So what's the single most common misconception you hear, and how do you help clients navigate that?
yeah, no, that's a great question. So, I would say the most common misconception is thinking it's insurance. So, as I mentioned before, surety bonds are different from insurance. Perfect example is, let's take a small landscape contract, right? A landscape business. You might need commercial auto insurance to provide insurance protection for your fleet of vehicles and your drivers. Let's imagine one of your drivers gets into an accident and hits someone on the road, they damage their car, or the person gets injured. The commercial auto insurance comes in and provide that financial protection for the medical bills, but also to replace the injured party's vehicle, right? Insurance takes care of that claim versus surety bonds. If that same landscaper signs a contract for, let's say, a commercial project with a project owner, and the project owner says, hey, I need a surety bond to guarantee that this project is performed as specified within the contract. You're going to put this stuff in, you're going to do it by X date, you're going to use this material, you're going to pay all your laborers, your material men, and your suppliers. I need a bond to guarantee that, right? So now, if the landscaper fails to perform, that's when the ball is dropped. And so the project owner has the ability to make a claim on the surety bond to recoup their cost of having to get the project done. So it's very different, right? One is there to protect you against your exposures and the different hazards you have while operating your business. You're on the road, you're driving vehicles, you're putting stuff up on ladders, so you've got exposure for your workers. So if they fall at any given time, that could happen. You just don't know when. Versus a surety bond is there to guarantee that you're gonna do the thing that you said you're gonna do according to this project, or sometimes in the space of commercial surety, it's more pertaining to licensing. At times, that's relating to statutes and laws that says if you're a landscape contractor, you're gonna have this licensing, and you're gonna make sure you pay for the fees and taxes of that sort. And so it's there to guarantee that that's taken care of. So with surety, it's a three-party relationship, and within that relationship, you have the project owner, who are called the obligee, and then you have the principal, which is the contractor, and then the third party is the insurance company or the surety, which they can either be an insurance company or they could just be an entity that strictly does surety bonds. But oftentimes they are insurance companies. So they're in the same vein, but they just represent different things. They do different things. So I like to make that clear distinction. Um, and oftentimes it is a big misconception and people don't really get it. That's why you need an insurance advisor to sit down and have those conversations, because they're supposed to know that, right?
No, that's great. I appreciate the breakdown. And from what you're saying, correct me here if I'm wrong, but insurance equates to protection, and then surety bonds equates to guarantee. Is that
That's a smooth and simple way of putting it. I would add, though, they are both a form of protection, right?
correct?
So insurance is protection against your exposures. Uh, Surety is guarantee performance. You
Mm,
take.
love that. Hey, when you put out your new marketing materials, make sure you
Yeah,
reference the channel. Send them to the
I got
channel.
you.
'Cause that's where it came from. It came from here.
It came from there. better living interest. You already know.
Yes, this is great. Nah, this is exactly what we want. We want to educate the people and make sure that they understand what they're getting themselves into and what they need to flourish as a company and as a brand.
No, absolutely.
So I really do appreciate that insight. That was great. So with complex exposures and constructions, you talked about guarantees, you mentioned about contracts. What is your go-to framework for evaluating and managing a business insurance need?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. For me, it first starts with a conversation, which will ultimately lay the groundwork for deep discovery and learning about the business, learning about the business owner, and get a sense of who they are, what they stand for. And that's truly important because it builds the narrative. Um, and so following from that, I like to do a thorough analysis of current protections that are in place to make sure there are no gaps in coverage while matching some of those things that I uncovered during my discovery. From that point on, I would meet with my client to sort of discuss a path moving forward, make my recommendations. And once we get a sign off and everyone's on the same page, I'd go back to the drawing board with my marketing team to start putting the right narrative in front of our insurance partners and carriers to be able to shop for the insurance protections that the business will need, whether that's insurance or surety bonds. And it doesn't even have to be insurance or surety bonds. It could also be wealth management or employee benefits. Whenever I sit down with a potential client, the conversation is always, what are you looking for? Like, what do you need? It's never about, hey, I'm selling this. I have this insurance that I think that you need. If I approach it from that perspective, I'm doing my clients a disservice, right? Because I'm making it about me and not about them. So we put their needs first and always get them sort of the best protections that they need. We're also team focused and have different practice groups within the organization to sort of meet their needs. So, like I mentioned before, employee benefits, or whether it's real estate or construction or surety, wealth management, retirement, and personal homes, right? So all those things are truly important.
No,
Give me
that's
one
that.
sec.
Take your time.
Hey guys, I'm doing an interview. All right, so give me a sec.
What's going on, y'all? Peace.
I'll just walk around, but we can keep moving to the next question.
Hey man, there's no generational wealth without generations. So we love the kids. You got to do it for the kids. So
That's
that's what
right.
it's about.
I
Oh,
truly, that's who I do it for.
amen. Blessings. That's the insurance and the bonding right there.
That's right.
As
Yeah.
a
No, go ahead.
notary, property and casualty broker, and community
Yep.
advocate, how do you balance technical expertise with authentic community engagement?
So trying to think back when I got licensed for notary, it always comes up, right? Keeping up with the right licenses. It's staying on top of my game by knowing my clients are and their points and fully invest in myself and knowing what solutions exist for them and meeting them where they're at and having those thoughtful conversations to figure out how I can.
Nice. And then because you're of the community, from the community, you can speak a different language that another insurance broker can't.
Yeah.
Understood. And I'm sure that, they're looking at you and the perspective of like, I don't know any of this. This is all new to me. So they're
Yeah.
trusting you with their baby, essentially, with their business.
Right. And that's why you're a trusted advisor, right? They're coming to you. Obviously, they're having an issue or their business is growing and you're the expert to provide them those solutions. So, yeah, 100%.
When you have come across some questions or concerns and you're not too sure about it or you haven't seen it as of yet, how do you typically respond to a client and make
It's
them feel
certainly,
comfortable?
yeah, it's certainly relying on my team. We believe in at Lawley, we believe in that wholeheartedly of just being team focused. There's people that's been doing this much longer than I have. And so, uh, it's very simple to make an introduction or bring them on board and gain their input and looking at have they seen this case before and how we can help.
Nice. And looking back to your career at Medgar Evers and Baruch College, what was your aha moment that shaped your career in risk management and client service?
I've always had a passion for helping people. And so at Medgar, I work with, like I said, at-risk youth and after-school programs. And at Baruch, I was a mathematics adjunct lecturer, helping undergraduate students learn basic fundamental math and also the complex portions of it to sort of take on their core classes and meet their requirements to graduate. And at the same time, for about a year to 2 years, I also did real estate in that same time frame. So I've always loved helping people. I've always loved being in front of people, talking to them. And when I moved here to Buffalo, it was the same sort of urgency and passion to be able to do that in some capacity. At Lawley, I got the opportunity by committing myself into being a trusted advisor. And because, I saw a need within the community to help those who are underrepresented, um, up and coming business owners, entrepreneurs, and anyone who's looking for the answers or is just curious to learn about insurance or surety because they're thinking about starting their business. Yeah, I would say that would be the aha moment. So sort of everything converging and just like it all made sense.
Yeah, because it sounds like you were helping people achieve their educational dreams. Then you're helping people achieve their home ownership dreams. And now it's transitioned to you're helping people achieve their business dreams. So it's all dreams. It's just different aspects of their dreams. So that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, for sure.
You've built a lot of strong relationships with agents, carriers, and brokers. What would you say is your secret sauce for truly partnering with clients? What differentiates you from someone else out in the industry?
Great question. I would say certainly learn to listen while leaning into your curiosity. Part of building relationships really is not what's in it for me or what the other person on the other side can do for me. It's really how can I leverage my network, my resources to do something for them. And at that point, you're providing value that is truly important, right? People will then naturally gravitate towards you and start to see you as an authority in that space. They'll look to you for the answers. I would say that would be the secret sauce, to me at least.
In your experience, what are the two top emerging trends in business, insurance, or corporate risk for 2025? And how should companies start preparing for that now?
Certainly, with the emerging of AI and cyber liability is becoming more prevalent, which is a type of insurance. It was always there and needed for certain types of businesses, but the fact that businesses are growing and they're adding to themselves and they're growing an online presence and interacting more with clients and using different AI tools. So I would say the trend is that cyber liability is certainly going to be a key factor to any business as they continue to grow. And the other thing I would say is insurance carriers typically, when they underwrite a risk, they underwrite based off a number of things that makes the risk or the business a good risk. So the question becomes, what are some of the things that you're doing that makes you a good risk? So the trend is, for example, if you are a landlord and you own property, is your property secured
or there cameras on site? When was the last time the roof was renovated? When was the last time plumbing and electricity was renovated? What type of sort of electrical panels are you using? Are you using fuse boxes? Because those are prone to fires. Is your property well lit during construction? Or your contractors insured, the ones that are stepping into your property, whether it be for snow plowing, maintenance, or some type of renovation. These are all things that, from an insurance standpoint, once you start to take action on those things, you start to be at good risk. That's the trend. So if you weren't doing that before, certainly you want to start doing that. If you don't know how, then you need to get with me or your agent or whoever that be to have those conversations.
Could you elaborate a little bit on that cyber
Yeah, so
liability? What does that
yeah,
look
so
like?
so we have an entire specialty team that Lawley has different practice groups, but they specialize in cyber liability. And cyber really is there to provide protections for liability claims that arises out of it could be whether it's customer information that's sort of leaked. It could be for ransomware, or it could be for when your computers get hacked and hackers take over your entire platform and system, and they're demanding payment prior to releasing back your system. And at times you have valuable information within your system that you can't really operate without, or it leaves you to even more exposure to lawsuits from your clients, right? This is where that protection comes into play. So it deals with the fallout, whether it's those lawsuits to represent you during those litigations, for the cleanup cost to gain back your system, reboot your system, or pay for technicians to uh, go around the hackers and try to get back your system. This is where cyber liability is truly powerful and is needed. So if you are a business that needs that, then that's something you should strongly consider.
Yeah, especially nowadays, everything is technology, online, data sharing. The data is the new gold. So protecting your
Yeah.
gold is pivotal. I appreciate that. Thank you for the clarity on that. When you speak to groups, as you're looking ahead, right? You're having
Yep.
conversations with SBDC. So you're talking to a lot of small business owners. You're talking to a lot of MWBE contractors as well, which we appreciate the help. What's your key message about leveraging insurance and bonding to create sustainable opportunities for them?
Key message is, let's put it this way. You'd go to a doctor if you're experiencing pain and discomfort. You go to an attorney for legal matters. It's the same thing with insurance, right? You need a trusted insurance advisor in your corner to grow your business, to make sure you're well protected, to have the financial protections in place in the event something happens. So if you're taking on projects that requires you to be bonded, or if your business is growing and you're hiring more employees and there's no coverage in place for them for the work that they're doing, doesn't matter, right? So at the end of the day, a trusted advisor is going to be the person that does that for you, because you can't do it yourself. So it doesn't have to be me or the Lawley team. Certainly, I would suggest you start to know who that person is and build a relationship with them, because it truly is a relationship type of interaction. It's when it becomes, sometimes it could be transactional, but like when you insure your business, your insurance protections come up for renewal each and every year. Your business grows and changes year over year. You're adding more to it. You're making more in terms of revenue, payroll. You're taking on different types of operations and trades. So your insurance protections needs to reflect that, right? So it's not a one-time thing like, hey, I got my insurance and I'm done. No, regular conversations with your advisor make sure that you're protected in the right way. So
Yeah, I could foresee, especially, someone like myself, people who are working on multiple projects. and doing things, their insurance needs are going to change, as well as their surety bond needs are going to change as well, right? Because you got different projects that you got to complete. So yeah, it's
Right.
definitely, this ain't a one time deal. This is a
No,
living, constant, changing,
for
checking
sure.
in type of policy and document that you need to have for you as you move forward and scale up.
Yeah, especially if you're in real estate, right? Because you're growing your portfolio of properties, you're doing renovations and things of that sort. You're selling your property. So, yeah.
Appreciate it. Now, for you and your role, the work that you're doing, you're making great strides into the market and really just uplifting Western New York because you're everywhere now. You're in Niagara County, you're in Erie County, you're in Buffalo, you're in Niagara Falls. I wouldn't be surprised if I see you one day in Canada. um, how do you feel you're shaping the economic development in this region and the small business landscaping through your work at Lawley?
Really, it's to be a trusted advisor to the highest degree, someone that you could trust and rely upon to sit down and have a conversation and say, hey, listen, this is my business. How can you help uh, make sure that I'm protected and I'm insured? Or I've got this project that I'm taking on. I have no idea what the requirements are when it comes to bonding, but I need to secure it. Can you help? And my answer is always going to be absolutely. Let's sit down. Let's have a conversation. I'm open for business, and I like to make an impact throughout the Western New York region or the downstate New York area. I'm from Brooklyn, so of course I'm vested and interested in that area as well, or for any states of that matter. Because quite honestly, I would like to be a well-known face or a well-known name to everyone who decides to call me up and say, hey, can you help? It's amazing to me when you're fortunate to be able to help a client to achieve what it is that they're looking for and to walk around and see their business thriving or their properties up and running. It does something to the soul, just like it makes you feel good, like you were able to help someone. And now the community is better, they're better, their business is growing, everybody's winning. So that's what I'm about.
Yeah, and definitely don't limit yourself. Like if you're able to and willing to do, work and projects in other states, down south, out west,
Yeah,
Midwest, East Coast,
Yeah.
etc., and abroad, why not? The opportunities are endless. You from Brooklyn, you understand what Biggie says, sky's the limit, baby, and
that's
beyond.
right.
So
That's right.
So, as I transition into one of our last sections, here we have the rapid five. So, I'm just going to ask you the Better Living Interest rapid five, quick five questions. First thing that comes to your mind, no thinking of it, just first thing that comes to your mind, give your response. All right. You ready?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's
All
do it.
right.
Let's do
Cool.
it.
So, the first question, best business book you recommend?
I've got two, Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort and Boss Moves by Myron Golden, which I haven't read yet, but I hear is really good. Myron is phenomenal. So certainly those two.
Got you. I did see Wolf on Wall Street. Those guys was
Yeah.
crazy, but I love
Yeah.
that movie.
Leonardo DiCaprio with those dance moves on the dance floor. I was like, what is he doing? But that was a great movie.
Steve Madden.
Yeah.
Most underestimated insurance coverage.
Cyber liability, I would say. Yeah. We
Yeah, that
talked,
was a
and
good
we
one.
talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. The go-to Buffalo lunch spot.
Oh, go to Buffalo lunch spot. Chris's Deli, right next to our main office. Patina 250, real nice in there. If we're talking about North Buffalo, then probably Lord's Taco, and then with the wife and kids, Anderson's for ice cream and sandwiches. Pretty good.
Yeah. Chris's Deli, I
Yeah.
definitely stand to that. They got that fish burrito. I get that every Tuesday and Friday if I can. That's my
Yeah.
favorite. And Brothers too.
Oh, for
Brothers
sure.
too.
For sure.
One piece of advice for emerging entrepreneurs.
This is from watching Myron Golden. So I would say mastering your core product or core service offer and your lead generation offer. Um, you got to get people through the doors. You gotta get in front of somebody that's selling your service or your product. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to grow your business. And when you do get them through the door and having a conversation, how are you going to match what they need with what you have? That has to be tip top shape, like clean, no ambiguities, no ifs and buts. It just has to make absolute sense. So, yeah.
I respect that. Biggest risk you had to take, but glad you did it.
There's a couple, I would say. Certainly moving to Buffalo at the height of COVID-19, that was a big risk because, quite honestly, I didn't really know what to expect. My wife's family is from here. And so at first, that was my connection. I wondered about how I would navigate and how I would do without being so distant from my family and my friends and my connections in New York City. But once I made the move, I was happy. I was glad to make the move. And as a matter of fact, I uprooted my mom and my brothers from Jersey and got them to move here. Recognized how important it was to have them around and have my kids grow up around them. And that was another risk, and it's been great. And lastly, transitioning into sales. That took some thinking and pondering, but I would say I would never look back, and I wish I had done it sooner. So, yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah, man. Big things. Well, thank you. I appreciate you, Carl, for your wisdom, your energy, your commitment for champion community driven risk strategies. To our viewers, if you're building a business, a team, a vision, Carl's insights on bonding, insurance, relationships are truly invaluable. We're going to put his contact information down here in the description. Well, they can find you, on LinkedIn, correct?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn easily or just send me an email. Um, my LinkedIn, you'll be able to do that. Or you could visit the Lawley website and just type my name. I'm pretty sure I'll come up. I'm excited. Like I said, I'm open for business. So whatever you guys got going on, if you're looking for a trusted advisor, I would be happy to sit down and listen to how I can help you and to help you grow your business. I appreciate you, Paul, for having me on the show.
Thank you.
Uh, Phenomenal work that you're doing right now. I love everything that you stand for, everything that you're doing. Plus, you and I, we regularly connect. So I'm all about growth. I'm all about generational wealth, real estate, business, growth, the whole shebang. Let's get it, let's make it
Yes.
happen.
Yes, personal, spiritual growth, man. You, as a professional, you're upstanding. As an individual, you're great as a father. I've seen you interacting with you and your family. You definitely are goals, man. Love to you and your wife, your family, man. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, King. Whatever we could do to help. And again, for our viewers out there, it doesn't matter. He said it himself. He is nationwide, East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, down
Right.
south, any type of
That's right.
project. No business is too small. No business is too big. He's done work
Yep.
with new developers, contractors, everyone in between. He's willing to help and assist you and get you the answers that you need to make sure that you're growing and that your dreams and your business is sustaining and is doing better. So again, remember to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss out on better living interest conversations that we have here. Thanks again for watching. And until next time, keep living better. Peace.
Peace. Appreciate you, King.